Day number 27 of the Nutty Pot Limit Omaha journey. I think that intro was a little, I don't know, not quite on the mark, but it'll work. Here we are, one table of PLO100. Before I get into the hand, I'd like to thank Unreal and Cheese Bunnies for the follows. We're up to 68 now on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, maybe check out Twitch, twitch.tv/ZenMadman. Give a follow. You can watch daily. You can actually subscribe now and help out the channel. Let's get into the poker, though. King, Queen, Jack, 9. I have a suit. Queen high suit. I think this is going to play pretty well multi-way. Even out of position. I flop top pair with a bunch of cards that are live to top 2 pair, which would not put a straight on board. So my hand's a little better than it would be if it were just a random top pair hand. I also had a spade blocker, still have a spade blocker. Now I have a wrap to go with my top pair. I'm still multi-way. If I bet and I get folds, that is pretty good in terms of denying equity. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I could go bigger here. I don't think anybody has anything all that often. So we're just going to go with 3/4 pot. I don't know. In terms of bet sizing, I'm not super confident in terms of the best sizes. A 9, a king, a 9, a queen, a jack, or an ace will make me a straight. My king might be good already. If there's a spade, if there's like an ace of spades, jack of spades, that is curious. Now I do not have a flush. They could have a flush. I'm blocking the second nut flush, and I don't have the nut straight. I have the second nut straight. I'm going to check. Not really any sense in trying to get value here, I think. I mean, you know, what would I be trying to get a call from 2 pair? Maybe a turned set of 10s. I think they're probably going to check those back. I could bet like $3 or something. But yeah, they're going to jam here pretty often. How often are they going to have the flush? I do have one flush blocker, but they did draw many ways. They could also have ace queen and maybe be value betting that, especially if they have like the ace of spades. I feel like they probably don't have the nut flush because they just checked the flop many ways after being the pre-flop raiser. So I feel like they probably would have bet that. I'm not super sure about my turn bet. I'll mark that hand and talk about it at the end of the session. I'm pretty confident in pre-flop. Even if the chart doesn't say to play it, I kind of don't see how it can actually be bad. So this, if it folds to me, even though the 7 and the deuce are quite poor, I am double suited to a king, suited to a 10. But this is quite the garbage when there is a pre-flop raiser already. I will say something in the chat. Good morning, even though a lot of viewers aren't actually, it's not going to be morning, and there aren't any viewers yet because we're streaming with a 3-minute delay so that, you know, people don't see the hole cards and stuff during the hand anyway. Another way to stream would be to actually just cover up my hole cards, and then you wouldn't know what I had, but I would just talk about my range, how I want to play my range in a given spot, and then I could stream live. I might try that at some point. I think that's an interesting format. I need better things to say about my range and my opponent's ranges. I'm still really working on what my ranges even are in given situations, right? It's like I want to know what they should be, but like what am I even playing like pre-flop? And then I can figure out what they should be based on post-flop action. All right, here there was pre-flop raised, flop was checked back. You know, a straight ace can check back here a lot. I think aces full maybe sometimes want to check. Just let someone make a flush, particularly a player who you think might make some poor life choices when a flush comes off. But yeah, here, you know, once it goes check, 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 I feel like somebody can have a flush. Nobody can have the royal. I'm blocking that. And I don't think anybody had a jack, although the out of position player could have had like jack whatever, and now they can have jacks full of 10s. I think that's pretty much the top of anybody's range here, except like quad jacks. Someone can flop quad jacks and be just like, oh, please make something. Which isn't to say that would be the optimal way to play it. I'm not really so sure how to play quads in PLO. In No Limit, I think we end up playing them pretty aggressively a lot of the time and trying to get them in pretty fast. So they, the out of position player did in fact have a jack. But they made a straight, and this player value bet, right? Was that a value bet, or were they thinking they were bluffing? What was the river action? Let's take a look. River goes check, bet, call. Okay, so we're going to make a note here. bets Broadway on paired flushy board. So flushy is the technical term for the board that has like 4 of the suit. That's not true. I just made that up, but we can make it be so. We can come up with technical terms. Flushy doesn't sound very technical, but you know, why not? Why not? Yeah, I want to give thanks again to Kevin E. Poker, actually, whose stream I've been watching every day right after my stream. My stream is kind of a concentrated, like 30 to 40 minutes of this one tabling, trying to really focus in, trying to balance that with the stream life, you know, chatting with the chat and all that. But yeah, then after that, I just take a short break. We do the raid. I just send viewers over there. If you're watching PLO, I figure maybe you want to watch more PLO from a, I think, more competent player, playing one level up. But you know, we're both trying to work on our games, and you know, the shout outs during Kevin's stream have certainly helped my stream. So I'm happy to give a shout back. And Unreal and Cheese Bunnies, my understanding, are also streamers. I haven't been able to check out their content yet, but I have followed them back. So, you know, if you want to check out more poker streamers, more kind of up-and-coming poker streamers, you know, I mean, when somebody's got like thousands of followers, like, yeah, sure, you know, you can follow them if you know you want, you know, to watch their content. But I think I like following kind of newer streamers and you know, kind of giving a little boost, little push up along the way, you know, high tides and boats rising and all that stuff. I think overall Twitch is a very supportive platform community, you know, in terms of people kind of trying to help each other, you know, move on up and all that. So I think it's really nice. It's fun. Of course, there's also, you know, your toxicity that you get in any community, but, you know, you deal with that as you deal with it anywhere. And I honestly haven't faced very, very much of it. I did have someone early on when I first started streaming, they're like, where's your neck? And I was like, I don't know, like between my head and my shoulders. Like, you know, they were trolling. You know, so anyway, I think sometimes, you know, letting certain things sort of roll off the back is often the best we can do. And if people are really obnoxious, we can just ban them. We can just ban them. All right, we've got a bunch of big cards here. So we're blocking a bunch of the big cards our opponents can have. This is the sort of hand that I think we often fold to a 3-bet because it's just rainbow and it's hard to flop really good equity. Basically, we need to flop like top 2 or a straight. Hopefully they're not sitting there waiting to see whether you know, they can't see my cards because I got that 3-minute delay. I don't know what they're doing. They quite possibly are like multi-tabling. When it comes to timing tells like this, particularly the slow timing tells, I think it's important not to put too much stock in them. Like you never know why someone's not doing something quickly. When someone does something quickly, that's a little bit more useful of a tell, you know. I think that generally means that they weren't putting a lot of thought into it right then. Now, we can do things quickly if, like right here, if I say, okay, I know I want to 3-bet no matter, like I think about every situation. Okay, if it goes raise, re-raise, I want to cold 4 this hand. Clearly I don't. This hand is terrible. I want to check this hand and get a free flop. But, you know, if we think of those possibilities ahead of time, then like right here I can think, okay, if this player bets, I want to do whatever. And clearly the answer to all of these is fold, and snap folding doesn't have a lot of extra utility, right, compared to doing it slowly. But if we're going to put in a raise or something, if we're going to bluff, I think we can outthink ourselves there. But I do have a diamond blocker, and I have a gut shot, and it doesn't feel like anyone has an 8, and maybe nobody has an ace, and I can just bet and take it down. If I had like the king of diamond blocker, I think I'd probably use this as a bluff. And if the 7 were like a 10 or the 4 were a 10, I'd have a completely different hand, but I'd be a lot happier with it. Now, the funny thing is like an ace still beats me because it's ace high, but it's no longer a pair. Any pocket pair is going to be, you know, the second hand class after, well, the third, I guess. There's quad 8s and then there's some good boats. Like ace, ace, and queen, queen. Nobody has any of that stuff. Let's face it. My king jack might be high. No. Ooh, they each had a pair. 9-9 and 5-5. So on the turn, I probably could have gotten those hands to fold. On the river, my case would have been much less compelling. So yeah, I think the turn bet was worth considering, and I think I just want a better diamond blocker to do it. And we'll mark this person as an open limper of the hijack. Ace King 9-5 rainbow, just gonna fold it. BuffyBot says good morning. BuffyBot 7, not to be confused with BuffyBots 1 through 6 or 8 through infinity. Good morning, BuffyBot. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Playing one table of PLO100 on this fine Saturday morning. I've actually woken up extra early. I just keep waking up earlier and earlier. It's very strange. I didn't even go to sleep early last night. I mean, not really early, like later than I have been lately, but I woke up. I actually did some kicking and punching. Technically, I just did kicking. I did stretching and kicking. I guess I didn't get to the punching. When I do come up with some channel points rewards where, like, you know, you redeem, you get points for watching, and then you redeem them for things. I'll probably have, like, some sort of kicking and punching type things in there. But I need to clean up my room before we do that. There's some hilarious memes of, like, streamer, like, this is how everything behind me looks really organized. Although, frankly, not so much right now. But and then you look at, like, the floor, the things on the sides, and everything's a disaster. It's like, if it's out of frame, out of mind, right? But that is definitely what's going on right now. So I have some work to do to clean up, straighten out my workspace. The funny thing is, I went through all of my boxes to find this binder. Where is it? I've misplaced it again, but it doesn't matter because there was a binder for the sheets from the PLO Launchpad for telling me, like, what hands to play in certain positions, but it really only dealt with race first in. But I found the binder, and it's got the, laminated, the things where you can slide the pages in. So I had it front and back, organized it exactly how I wanted it, and then I got the PLO matrix. I don't use it anymore. But everything that I took out, I, like, tore up all my closet. It's all still out on the floor and disheveled, poorly arranged or not arranged. So that's great. Anyway, such is life. Such is life. This is a little limp pot here. No reason to really think anybody has much of anything. I think 7-5 is going to be kind of top of range for both these players, especially out of position. In position, could have checked that back. Although with a double flush draw on board, I think you might want to go ahead and bet it. And top pair with some flushy blockers and an open-ended straight draw. Did not see fit to put money in, which I can't totally blame them. My hand is garbage. All right, now let's focus up a little and talk about the hands in progress, right? We're going to do that. And over time, eventually, we're going to become more focused on what's going on, unless there's a lot going on in the chat. I don't know. So we have a limper in the hijack. What sorts of ranges do people usually have? It's hard to say, right? 7 deuce deuce. Who's most likely to have a deuce here? The big blind, right? The big blind. The other two players have voluntarily put money in the pot. The big blind involuntarily put money in the pot. So they can do that with any 4 cards, and they didn't raise, so you're going to eliminate a lot of the top of range too. So the density of 2x of hands that include a 2 are going to be certainly higher. I think their bet makes a lot of sense. Ace, queen, 5-3. I think this is going to be a fold. I like having the suited ace, queen, or the suited ace. Actually, I'd rather not have the queen suited. I'd rather have the queen be like a diamond, and then just have ace 3 suited or ace 5 suited. The 3 and the 5 kind of go well together, but I think this is probably close-ish. Make the 3 a 4, and I would play this, and get rid of the queen of hearts, so I just have 2 hearts, and I might play it. I'm gonna mark a little fewer hands pre-flop because I think. Let me know if that's a part that you really enjoy of the session review, but I think it might feel a little boring. It feels kind of slow. So I'm doing a lot of looking things up later in the day as well. I play a multi-tabling session right after this when I go watch Kevin's stream. So I get a good amount of pre-flop, review in. So let me know if that's something you're particularly interested in. But if not, I'm going to kind of reduce it. Aces, I'm just going to 3-bet all aces from the big blind against the button open. I do have the nut flush draw. That makes me happy. I could just go like pot and get it in here, I think. I really don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I'm just going to do that because it feels like it can't be that bad if I have the nut flush draw and an overpair, even if they have a set of queens. I really don't know in terms of sizing here, though. So that's something I'm going to mark and then discuss a little at the end of the session and try to... That's something that requires research, right? I don't think that's something I'm necessarily going to be able to reason through on my own. I mean, solvers probably give us that answer. And this hand I will raise. Ace, Queen, 9, 6 has some connectivity, some high card power. And I do have a suit, and it's my favorite suit, spades. So, hey, you know, the prettiest card in the deck and all that. I actually have a song from my old band, Villain's Lament, called The Prettiest Card. That is sort of a reference to that. And I might write a murder mystery with that same title. I should probably have like links to like old music and stuff somewhere in my Twitch bio, etc. We'll say put links, make description coherent. I don't know. I put that together a while ago. Okay, 8s with a 9 and a 7. This feels pretty decently like a cold call type hand. I'm gonna go ahead and cold call, and I will mark this one for pre-flop. I just can't help myself. I want to mark that other hand too. I want to mark it. You know, inquiring minds want to know. Okay, they check here. So, what are they checking here? Their overpairs, I think, are going to check and call. And I could get some check raises against me on this board. I think there's a lot of turn cards I'm going to like significantly. So I'm going to check it back. I do like betting a lot when I get checked to in spots like this. This turn card is fine. A 6 makes me a straight. An 8 makes me a boat. And a club makes me a flush. I am blocking my own flush draw some. I think I have enough outs. And I might... Do I have any fold equity on the river? Probably not a lot because I checked back this flop. But I feel like getting 4-1. They bet, not quite 4-1, but they bet so small. I am going to peel here. Possibly quite questionable. Now I have a boat. So if they have like a 10, if they have something besides a bigger pair, I'm just going to win, right? And I don't think they have a 4. So if they show up with like jacks plus, good for them. But, so aces. Yeah, aces. I don't feel like they were folding that on the flop. The ace of clubs probably isn't a great card for calling down, right? Like, you don't really want to have the ace of clubs if I'm betting, because one of the hands I'm most likely to barrel off with is going to be, well, I don't know if I'll barrel the nut flush draw, but it's one of the hands that I'm most likely to put bets in on the flop, the turn, and then, you know, to brick off, right? So, not super sure about that hand, but let's display the last hand. It's, I'm going to take a look at the equity. Let me see if I can brainificate it. Let's see. All right, so 2, 3, that's 5, and then how many clubs is that? 7, 5, and 7. That's 12 outs. 12 outs, that's like 30% equity. I should have 30% equity there on the turn. Am I doing that right? I think I'm doing it right. So 30% equity against a small bet. I only needed like 25-ish. Sure, on the river, there could be some reverse implied odds, but there could be some positive implied odds as well. You know, if I hit an 8 and they checked, I could put a value bet out there, and I think they might call on an 8. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I think I had enough stuff going on that I think it was going to be possible to that you know, I was in position. In position also matters a lot. Out of position, I'm pretty sure I just check fold there. Quite sure, actually. For better or for worse. All right, so anyone just joining, we got one table of PLO100 on Ignition Poker as every day at 10 a.m. Pacific. Basically just doing the same thing, trying to establish habits. I do want to do some collaborative streams. I'm going to get in touch with some people about that. I think it'll be really fun, but I probably will do it as like bonus extra streams. I think I want to keep this habit for a little while. I was thinking about mixing it up. Sevens with an 8 and a jack. I think I fold this. The jack just needs to be a little closer, I think. This might be close-ish, though. So we'll hit that. But yeah, I think I really like doing this focus stream, focusing on one table to it just I feel like it gets my brain in the right poker framework, for the day. At some point, maybe at some point I'll move it. Oh, desktop volumes. Oh, thank you for the heads up. Let's see. Let's just kill the desktop volume. Thanks. Mm. Typing. So Kevin E. Poker in the chat. If you haven't, give a follow. If you're into, poker content and sort of general musings on life, I think sort of a kindred spirit of a stream to me. Basically trying to establish good habits. It was really funny for me too because I was just like, oh, I want to check out some other PLO streams, right? And ideally, I would like to check out some kind of smaller streams in general. Big streams are nice too, but some, I think someone who's a little earlier in the streamer journey and kind of down to earth, and I was like, oh, PLO 200, perfect. And then I looked, and it's and Kevin's doing like a 90-day challenge, and I didn't tell anyone, but in my head, I was maybe doing a certain number of days challenge. We're on 27. And I specifically didn't make it specific because in the past I have done too much like over promising and then under delivering. I have in the past done a 28-day grindathon where I locked myself in my apartment for 28 days, never left my building, and what else did I do? I might have left the building one time because there was a fire alarm and I literally had to. And I waited downstairs and then came back in. But yeah, I basically was inside my building for 28 days and played 80,000 hands of Limit Hold'em, which is quite a number of Limit Hold'em hands in 1 month. And I was only 4-tabling. It was 4-table cap. I played like 207 hours. And had my best poker month ever. That was a lot of fun. But, 28 days in one's apartment seemed a lot longer in 2010 than it does now. Now it's like, yeah, 28 days, whatever. What's that? Come on, please. That's child's play, right? But back then it felt like a challenge. I wasn't streaming. I was making vlogs, actually. They're still out there on the internet somewhere. I might edit them together into like a thing. I was an OG poker vlogger, but I didn't keep with it. If I kept with it, I think things would be easier now. But whatever. Yes, this water bottle. Kevin says, nice water bottle. I have the same one from Costco. I have this one, and then I have the pair of smaller ones as well, which are nice because they fit in the cup holder in the car. This doesn't, but this is perfect for a grind of a particular length. I find it's enough water to get through a session, and then at the end of the session, it usually tells me, well, I've drank this much water, it's time to take a break from the session, because, nature calls and all that. But, yeah, just, I think this kind of idea of just, like, trying to establish good habits and, kind of use community to hold ourselves accountable, I think is really powerful. It's been helpful for me. I started the stream without even telling anybody that I was going to do it. I just put it on. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do day one. I'm not going to tell anyone it's day one. Okay, queens with a 10 and a 7. Not fantastic, but the 10 and the 7 connect. The queen and the 10 connect. I do have a queen high suit, so I think I can flat here. The big blind hasn't been super active, so they're going to have some 3-bets. And I flop rather poorly. I have an open-ended straight draw, so if nobody has the flush already, those are live outs. My queens aren't worth very much with a king on board and 3 to a suit. I do have a diamond blocker and a blocker to bottom set, but I'm not going to draw to a straight when there's already a flush potentially out there. So Yeah, we're gonna just check it and fold. Not a lot of exciting hands so far today. Pretty much what the most action we've gotten is aces and just ripped it on the flop. But yeah, when we get to that, maybe we'll have some conversation on that. But yeah, I'm looking to do some collaborative streams in the not too distant future. I think things right now, like this weekend, I'm getting my YouTube channel kind of less bare bones. Like I made a thumbnail last night, and I wrote a video title and a paragraph for the description. There's more paragraphs in the description, but it's like boilerplate, same for every video. It was interesting to watch a video from a couple weeks ago too, because it kind of reminded me where I was then and kind of how far I've come in like just a couple weeks. Not to make it sound too grandiose, but it's been a good couple weeks for me. All right, let's get back to the hands. Top pair, nut flush, backdoor nut flush draw, blocker to the flush draw, blocker to some straight draws, and backdoor Broadway, backdoor wheel. All right, and backdoor 8-eye straight draw. So lots of backdoors, not too much going on in the front door. We get a full pot bet let out into us, and I think this is a spot where I just fold top pair. If I had diamonds, of course, I think I would continue here. If I had a gutter to go with this, like if you make the 4 a jack, the hand becomes a lot more interesting. But full pot bet, like we just don't have to continue that much against a full pot donk, right? They lead out for full pot. That's nice that this person posted so we can make it 450 instead of just 350 with the double paired single suited aces. I think we're probably going to get like a 20-way pot, and unless I flop the nut flush draw, the nut flush, or a set, you know, I'm going to be out of position multi-way. So I like to kind of prepare myself for what sorts of flops when I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking like, ooh, are my aces still good? Now, this is a pretty good flop for aces, right? Ace 4-4, rainbow. I'm blocking some of the straight draws, which is nice. But nonetheless, 4 ways out of position. I don't think I'm supposed to c-bet this flop very often at all, 4 ways out of position. I'm curious to run some multi-way Munker sims, but I'm probably going to have to rent a server to be able to run that. We get a full pot bet and a call of a full pot bet and a jam, and like, ooh, are my aces still good? Even if it could play my aces and my sixes, I'd still fold. Yeah, and I mean, my aces could still be good, right? But even if I were ahead here, my equity probably would not be that great. And it looks like I was not ahead. Okay, somebody flopped bottom 2. I was ahead of the better. The better, I mean, look at that. They had Jack, Jack, 9-8. So they had 2 pair, but they also, like me, could not use both pairs. I think that's an interesting hand just in terms of seeing what people are willing to get it in with, you know? And folding aces there when you see stuff like that is like, oh, you know, but it's like, yeah, you just fold. You don't, you know, similarly here, I have top pair, top kicker, backdoor nut flush draw, backdoor wheel draw. That's about it. And I just check. I'm 4 ways out of position or intra position. I'm in this weird in between. If somebody bet $1, I think I'd call because I can catch some pretty good turn cards, right? A heart is pretty good. A 5's like, you know, okay. I'm not going to bet this card, but maybe I could. Maybe this is a spot where I just say, you know what? I've got a king of diamonds. I can bet, and I'm just going to get a lot of folds. But seeing what people wanted to put money in with last hand, like, maybe I could bet this for value against these cats. I don't know. I'm just going to start calling people cats. That's how we're going to, that's what I'm going to do. I really liked hearing Joe Madden do that after the playoffs in like 2005. I was like, yeah, people don't call people cats enough, you know? And we have a full pot bet. Queen Jack just became the nuts. The river at first was like, oh, what did that do? There wasn't a single river card that didn't pair the board or bring a straight, right? Everything brought some sort of a straight. So, yeah, this brings Queen Jack as a straight. Not any huge reason to think someone's got that, but this person could easily have 2 pair. I do have a nut flush draw going to the ocean, but sadly, we are going to stay here on the river. We don't make it to the ocean. All right, King, queen, 10, 7 with a suited king. Pretty good if it folds to me in the small blind. If anybody else wants to enter the pot ahead of me, I think I'm probably just folding. If there's like 3 limps, maybe I can see a flop with this. But there are a lot of kind of nut straighty things that I can flop. I can also flop a wrap with like a nut flush draw if the ace of spades and a jack are out there, and another spade. So I think this is decent, and I'm certainly going to raise it now that it's folded to me. And I just win the pot. Hurrah. This hand, though, is quite the garbage, I believe. You know, we just don't want to play that many hands with deuces in them. We don't want to play that many hands with 3 to a suit. And, you know, I've got 3 cards that kind of do something. But I think this, like, triple gap thing is when there's, like, another connector right there. I think it's important to always remember, like, the 10 jack queen was already a straight with the 8-9. So having the king, like, only helps a little. It doesn't even make it the nuts. So that's something that we can either learn by experience, or we can kind of try to, like, remember, just like think about, like, when you see your cards, like, what straights can you make? You know, that's more for, I guess, newer PLO players, right? People who aren't looking up things in the matrix on Upswing, link in the description below, or on Rio Visions, potentially a link in the description below. I don't know. I haven't used Visions, so I'm not recommending it personally yet, but I know a lot of people who have used it and find it extremely useful. I can only imagine it's a great piece of software. I don't even, do you call it a software? It's like cloud-based. It's more of a service, right? But I mean, I guess there is software involved on their end. We're going to fold this. And yeah, sometimes you just sit here and, like, we don't get a whole bunch of interesting hands, and so we can either find something interesting to talk about, or we can watch the hands that we're not involved in, right? Think about, like, what sorts of ranges people are going to have in spots, what we could change about our cards. I think just remaining engaged is really valuable, and seeing what people do when we're not in the pot, right? We can pick up reads. That's the thing about one tabling, which as a live poker player, which I wouldn't describe myself as a live poker player, I would describe myself as just a poker player. I've played for a living live, I've played for a living online, and I did both fairly early on and went back and forth so many times that they both really feel very natural to me, which I don't think is necessarily true for most people, but you know, I guess I consider myself fortunate. I started playing poker right when internet poker became a thing, so I played mostly live, but then I saw the early stages of internet and played online, you know, a long time ago, and you know, back and forth depending on, you know, availability of different games, I guess. So here we had a sizable bet from the button, who I have to imagine was the preflop raiser, but I missed that, so we can't really put people on such concrete ranges when we miss the preflop action. But, you know, the flop, what sorts of hands would want to make that bet? Well, like top 2, top 3, bottom set. If they raise preflop, they could have either the top 2 sets as well. They could have the wrap, maybe the wrap with spades. The wrap just made the nuts, right? I mean, the good wrap, the queen jack 10. They call it a wrap, but is it really a wrap if it doesn't go around? I mean, you call it a wrap, but I don't think, I think that's, yeah. Okay, so they had top 3. Or all 3 pair on the flop, and they got called by a gutter and middle pair, right? So heels, king, queen, jack, X on ace, king, deuce, 2-tone without flush draw. So that's pretty loose. I think these single suited pairs, this is like the only kind of combo of 5-5 that's not like a double pair that's single suited that I want to play in this position, because I do have the suited ace and I have the 5-6, right? And the 5-6 is pretty good, and the single suited ace is quite good, right? There's a lot of nuttiness potential here, and that's really, in the earlier positions, we really want that nuttiness. In the later positions, I think having blockers to other people's continue range, you know, we're going to have a chance to win unimproved, you know, before the flop. But I think we really want potential to make the nuts. and to have nice draws to the nuts when we're going to be out of position, because otherwise we're gonna get in a lot of gross spots. And speaking of gross spots, this isn't really a gross spot. This is like I have a gut shot to not even the nuts. I've got one blocker to the heart draw, and I've got a lot of blockers to the small straight draw. But now I have an open-ended straight draw, so I do have 2 outs to the nuts, a mere 2 outs to the nuts, right? I need a deuce that is not red or blue, but like diamonds are also red. And now I have jacks and 5s. You know, maybe Motown gets it done. Jacks and 5s. Everybody check, and I win. And like, I don't think I can make a credible bet here. What did they win with? 8s? Yeah, okay. You know, I can probably get that hand to fold. They turn 2 pair. With the 4, this hand I think is rather trashy. And maybe I open it like from the button, probably. I think 3-card hands we can kind of open from the button. Not from the low jack. Like, what's my nuttiness potential out of position? I can flop top set, and I can have a nut straight or a nut straight draw. And if an ace and a king of clubs come, I can make a nut flush. But not too fantastic here. If I get called, you know, by someone in position, or if I get 3-bet, I think it's not going to play well against a 3-bet. So, yeah, as always, anybody with any questions about any hands, or there's a hand you think is interesting, let me know on Twitch. Just type in the whole cards, and I will mark it for review, and we'll talk about it at the end of the session, or during the session if nothing else is going on. And let me top up. And if you're on YouTube, then like and subscribe. But also, you can try and include the timestamp. It'll be super helpful for me to go back and respond to your comments and questions. I want this overall to be, like, hopefully a learning experience for people of all levels. I mean, if you're, like, way ahead of me, I don't think you're going to learn that much from it. But then it can be a learning experience for me. You can be like, oh, you totally should have done this thing. And I'll be like, is this, like, somebody who knows what they're talking about? Or is it, like, a troll? But I'll assume generally that people have an idea what they're talking about, and I always take whatever suggestions seriously. All right, here I've got 2 loose passive players that I can play this against. I've been folding hands like this a lot, but I do have nuttiness potential, right? I mean, I can make a Broadway, the 5-6 can make some straight stuff, and the suited ace, and also ace jack, I can make top 2 type things. Here I do flop top 2, not the way I was thinking I would, but, you know, do I want to lead this multi-way? I am the person most likely to have like a deuce 4, by the way. The button, unless they have ace ace, is very unlikely to have me beat. I think my hand's pretty strong here, actually. I do have a spade blocker, which I like to see. I'm gonna half pot it. I don't know. Maybe. If they have like an ace though and a nut flush draw with some overs to me, then I'm also not in great shape though. All right, here I no longer have top 2 pair, but I think I'm up against a flush draw often enough that throwing a bet in here and kind of having this be an inflection bet, I think makes some sense. I do pick up a straight draw, right? If a 4 comes, I make a straight, and they jam, and I feel like I feel like an idiot. No, but really, you know, I was trying to make like an inflection bet. What do I have here? I have some outs to a 4, which I think might be a chop because there's a reasonable chance that they have 4-6. They still could have deuce 4. It's hard to believe my ace 5 is good, and just 4 outs to the boat. This is pretty clearly not going to have the sufficient odds to call, and we're gonna put that for review. I've been making these kind of inflection bets lately, and I feel like it hasn't been going very well. So I'm going to keep an eye on that idea and see whether or not it's really justified. The 4 is very bad. I was considering overlimping this hand because of the straightiness, but I don't think I should do that. Here, of course, there's a raise. No thoughts. Just definitely going to fold it. Kevin says inside wrap. Yeah, so king, queen, jack. If the flop comes ace, king, I have an inside wrap, right? Where I basically need to hit, I have to hit one of my cards. Any queen, any jack, any 10. I use the other 2 cards to make a straight. This would be a double gut shot, not an inside wrap. Although if you had like 9-10 jack, you could call that an inside wrap, right? Yeah. Except a king. No, that would be more than that, right? Because a king then would also make a straight. So that would be a wrap, and my double gutter gets there. But yeah, there's so many types of straight draws in PLO. I think really understanding the different types and getting more fluid with that. I mean, I know the inside wrap is called a wrap, but I feel like it shouldn't be, because a wrap is something that goes on the outside. Maybe it's like, what do you call those inside out sushi? It's like that, right? Where it's a wrap, but the rice is on the outside, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, okay. We're making sushi metaphors. I feel like I should make some sushi. I got a lot of good avocados. Just got to get some cucumbers. I really enjoy the capocado maki, or whatever you want to call it. My chat is superior to me at PLO. They help me out every day. Word. Yeah, some of your chat. This is Kevin says this. Again, Kevin E Poker on Twitch. Give a follow, even a subscribe. I'm gonna fold this hand here. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, personally, I actually enjoy watching people play who I'm better than, and not being like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, but just being like, yeah, this is what I think you should do in this spot because of these reasons. I think teaching is a great way to learn, to help solidify the knowledge that we already have. And I love it when people come in. Yesterday, some who was it? Oh, I wish I remembered. But yesterday I got some knowledge dropped on me, like, oh yeah, this is this is definitely a stack off in this spot, or this is this. And it's super helpful, and I think whenever somebody tells us a thing, we never want to take it as like gospel, right? As like a decree that is 100% necessarily correct, but we always want to accept it with an open mind. And if somebody's saying, oh, I looked this up in this particular piece of software and it says that this is the balanced way to play the spot, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I believe them. I don't think there's a lot of people going around trolling, pretending that vision says certain things that it doesn't, right? But once you know people, you can definitely develop relationships and understanding of kind of where they are. Let's see. Zeph76, thank you for the follow. Follower number 69. I think we're required on Twitch to acknowledge that as a numerical thing. It's in the contract writer somewhere. Nice. So, what was it? Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to. There was something there. It's at the tip of my brain, and it's gone. But yeah, I really find it helpful to try to impart knowledge on those who maybe have less experience and less understanding of a given topic, and to absorb knowledge from those who have the knowledge. I don't know. Yeah. It's still early. I actually feel pretty alert though. All right, I'm going to sit out next blind, and let's see how many hands. I've got 6 hands to review, and they're not just a bunch of pre-flop spots. There's a bunch of post-flop things. So I'm going to try and get into those kind of deeper, and then we'll probably wrap the stream up around the 1 hour mark. Try to have a smoother rating experience today. It's a process, learning how to do these things, learning how to make the nuts when we're not in the hands. I mean, Ace Queen suited is a couple of nice cards, but Deuce 7 offsuit is I think everybody's familiar with how bad Deuce 7 offsuit is. So in PLO, yeah, I mean, like, we really want the cards working together, but in increasing sashimi. Is that sashimi? So BuffyBot chimes in with sashimi. Isn't just sashimi that's like the rice with just the whatever else on top, right? Whereas is it with the rolls, the inside out rolls? Is that sashimi, or is that still sushi? I'm gonna Google this. Give it a quick Goog. Inside out sushi rolls. I think these are just called, like, if there's no wrap. I'm now I'm gonna come up with some way of calling it a something else. Yeah, I think that's just the fish without the sushi is the rice. Okay. All right. We'll get back to various types of wraps later. I have Ace King, double suited. The 8 and the 3 are pretty bad cards. Would I open this in the low jack? I mean, I'm double suited. The 8 3 are pretty bad. Let's give it a go. Highly questionable. The fact that this is a looser, more passive player. Actually, 43-4, they're not playing tons of hands they shouldn't. They're playing some hands they shouldn't. Mostly they're just not raising hands that they should. So I'd almost rather see a higher VPIP from them than or a higher PFR. I want them to raise more hands so that they're not going to limp re-raise. Now this person came along and gave us the back raise. These double suited hands, I think we usually call in position. I believe, towards the bottom of my range, and I have another player behind me. I kind of hate this spot. The 8 and the 3. The 8 is such a garbage card. I'm going to fold. Also, another thing that I noticed and thought about but didn't mention yet is that this player's 13-10. Oops. Okay. Well, that was less of a voluntary fold and more of a timeout. But I had made my decision. I want to look this hand up. I imagine I'm either supposed to fold this or I'm supposed to raise call it. But factors at the table can lead us to do things slightly different than whatever source we have, right? I mean, there's static preflop ranges and there's dynamic preflop ranges. And this is an interesting bet size. They're going really small. I feel like they're repping ace-ace and they're just like, they don't have to bet that much, right? If the other player probably has 2 outs or 0 outs, and if they have 0 outs, then whatever. But they kind of want to try to like piece it off one bit at a time. I am gonna hit sit out. Now we have 7 hands to review. I had ace king 8-3 bad suit, right? And I think good suit probably is a raise. Bad suit is questionable. I want to use my low jack range, so I'm gonna go to the PLO matrix and check out the low jack open raising range. And 8-3 is just barely a fold, right? That's kind of what my intuition was telling me, was ace king 8-3 bad double suited. Bad suit is fold from low jack. Good suit is RFI from low jack. Call 3-bet IP, fold to 3. Oop, out of position. Okay, so right here, this is on the looser side, because generally when there's a limper ahead of me, I want to go one position earlier, which would be here. I do think there's a reasonable chance we're going to get this big multi-way pot, and this hand is going to play all right there, but it's too much. I think this was a mistake. I'll look up and double check that in middle position, I would open this hand. I'm pretty confident of that. Yeah, it's RFI fold in MP. So ace king 8-3 double suited, bad suit is RFI fold from the hijack. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm not raising first in, but I am raising from the hijack. And there was a cold call behind me. That's fine. I was hoping these players might call, but then this player squeezed. And against that, since I'm actually supposed to raise fold this from this position without anybody else in the pot, I'm actually pretty comfortable with my decision to fold to the 3-bet. I also think acknowledging my opponent's stats, which for some reason are not showing up here. I don't know why, but they were 13/10. So against a 13-10, I think I like this fold. They're just going to have me dominated too much. They're going to have ace-ace, king-king, ace-king, something better double suited, right? So having the one suit not be to the king, having it suits the ace into the 8 instead of the ace and the king, no. I like my fold. Okay, so this is a lovely flop for the 3-better. They make a small bet. I think they should probably do that with range, because this flop is just so good for their range. And they take it down, and we will move on to the next hand. All right, ace jack 6-5. There's a raise, and I want to see, what do I do with this hand in a squeeze spot? The post flop is probably more interesting, but let's just look at big blind versus button squeeze, I guess we could say, or cutoff squeeze. Big blind versus cutoff, squeeze versus the cutoff. Big blind, ace jack single suited. This is gonna be a fold, is my guess. This is gonna be interesting. Interesting. Ace jack 7-6 and ace jack 5-4 are calls, but this is actually a fold. But that doesn't mean I don't like the. Wait, what happened? Why did everything just get minimized? Sometimes my computer like bugs out. Okay, so ace jack 6-5 single suited is fold from big blind versus cutoff squeeze. And I'm saying that the button should have roughly a cutoff range because they're making an ISO raise. I also don't have access directly to what I should do in this exact spot, right? But ace jack 7-6 good suit and ace jack 5-4 good suit are calls from big blind versus cutoff squeeze. So I'm basically just making notes of actually what's going on here. Of the information that I'm taking out of the matrix. So if I unsubscribe to it, then I'll still have the all of this information. But I might keep the subscription. It's been very useful. Link in the video description below. Okay. I'm not gonna type anything further because that's all like opinion, man. But I like this call because I do think the 6-5 is notably worse than the 5-4. I think because of 2-3-4 makes the same straight as with the 5-6 and the ace-5, they both make straights on that. But I like this call because I think the button's tight and they've probably got a pretty strong range. But I've got this loose player and then this loose player. 1 and 2, or actually 6 and 3 are the player numbers. And with that going on, I think I'm gonna be able to get value from my ace high flush against their weaker flushes better than I would in against different players, right? So I decide to lead out here, which could be questionable. I like that I'm blocking, the straight draw. I'm like that I'm blocking the flush draw. I do have top 2 pair, which I think is very likely good right now. Also, I think my range is going to have more deuce 4 than anybody else. Having said that, I'll have more deuce X and 4X that I can use as blockers, I think. I'm not super confident because I did call a raise, but I don't mind my flop bet. I think there's some logic behind it. On the turn, if I didn't have the 6, I would check this back. I like having the 6 because I'm blocking the nuts. It's harder for them to have the nuts. If they have a hand like ace-7 and they just got there, cool. But I thought there were going to be a lot of flush draws in their range and maybe ace with some overcards in their range. And I felt like making this inflection bet made some sense. I immediately get punished for it. They put all the money in, or almost all the money in, and I decide to fold. I don't think there's too much to say about this fold. It seems very straightforward. If I had a flush draw to go with this, or if I had something besides, the 4 outs to a boat and the 3 outs to a chop, probably, hopefully, with the 4, I think I still would. I would need more outs. So I think this fold is pretty straightforward, but anyway, I'm not sure about my turn bet, but I like my reasoning there. I like that I thought about having a blocker, and I did have a blocker. Okay. Jack 8 or Jack 8-7-7. So we've got a pair, single suited. We will look this hand up in the matrix. Jack 8-7-7. I'm pretty comfortable with this fold. Let's just double check it. 7-7 with a jack and an 8. Yep, clear fold. So 7-7, Jack 8, single suited is clear fold from hijack. 7-7-8-6 is single suited is RFI from hijack. Otherwise, we need a second pair or an ace to RFI. 7-7 single suited. Cool. Okay. And that doesn't mean necessarily raise all ace X, it just, or 7-7 deuce deuce. We're going to fold those. But that's just a little thing like, okay, 7s, we either want the perfect connectors, which somehow are 1 over 1 under. I wonder why 8-9 isn't good. but, you know, don't need to guess the machines or second guess the machines. We will move on. We have a, let's see. You are correct, sir. Uramaki is inside out roll. Sometimes called a rebel roll. Rebel roll. Okay. So this does look like a hand I would open from the hijack against this player in the cutoff. Nobody really putting a lot of money in behind me. I don't think there's any counter indications to calling here. I think this is probably going to be a comfortable thing here. So I'll just double check it, right? Cutoff, button versus cutoff. 8s single suited with a 9 and a 7. Yeah. Okay. This is a call. So 8, 8, 9, 7 single suited is cold call from button versus cutoff RFI. So in this situation, 8, 8, 9, 10 single suited and 8, 8, 7, 6 single suited are as well. We'll just leave it at that. So we know if we have the 8s, probably if we have the 7s, if we have, you know, connectors right alongside them, we can flat button first cutoff RFI. How does the flop come up? Oh, this was interesting. All right, so this board was a little bit interesting. We've got 10, 4, 4. I can bet here. I do think ace-ace is checking here a fair amount. Not a bad board for ace-ace. I'm not certain how much cutoff is supposed to bet here. They're probably supposed to do a lot of checking is my guess, just because that's how it works. But I don't have a lot of 4x in my range either. So I don't really see this as a great bluffing opportunity. Also, I would hate to get check raised because I do have some pretty reasonable equity, right? I can hit an 8 and then I'd have the third nuts. I can make a flush right away. I can pick up a straight draw to go with my flush draw. So I like checking back, realizing my equity. The turn's a 5 and they lead out. A 6 would be a little nicer. It would give, well, it would be a lot nicer, right? I'd have an inside wrap. But yeah, it actually an inside wrap bonus, right? Because the 5 would then make it straight. Here I have a gut shot to go with a pair of 8s, to go with a flush draw, to go with the fact that my 8-8 is maybe sometimes good. I think actually putting in a raise here is also a little interesting, where I'm like acting like I slow played something or hit a 5-5, but it's not super credible. And I decided to just realize my equity. On this hand, and then the 4, like, I've got showdown value. I have, you know, 4s full of 8s, and I don't think I'm going to bluff them off a better hand, and I don't think I'm going to get value from a worse hand. So I like how I played this hand. I wanted to check the equity, see if on the turn I did in fact have 30%. I did in fact have 30%. So, you know, it's nice to be able to do math in one's head. It's not very difficult math. It's mostly counting and then multiplying by 2.5. So that was, yeah, I like that hand. I think that was good. Feel free to disagree in the comments below or in the chat. Let's see. Fish on top of rice is called nigiri. That's what I thought sashimi was, but it has no rice. Yeah, that's what I thought sashimi was too, but we were wrong. And now we learned something. We're learning about sushi and sashimi and nigiri and rebel rolls, uramaki, and we will we'll look at another poker hand. But you know, my channel, I like to study and learn about all things. Now I'm getting really hungry though, unfortunately. Okay, ace, deuce, 9. 3-bet pre, like, not really anything to discuss there. I have aces. They probably don't. And if they do, we get it in. And sometimes someone wins. Sometimes the other wins. And sometimes it rains. Queen 6-4. Like, they can have queen. They can have some rundowns that smash to the bottom end of the board. They can have a queen with, you know, some drawy stuff. But I feel like I want to put money in. I want to make this a 2-street game. We're going to pot flop. We're going to pot turn a lot of the time. If the turn's like a queen of clubs or something, we're going to do a little bit of crying, and then we're going to figure out what to do next. I just pot it, they fold, and I do want to, like, get a better sense of, like, what bet sizing, you know, I want to use here on the flop, right? Like, how much... I have a 4-1 SPR, so pot feels very attractive. Check raise all in also feels a little attractive. Although, am I going to deny less equity that way? If I go pot, are they going to fold more equity? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure this is exactly the type of hand that's like you put it in the solver, and the solver's like, this is what you should do, and you're like, oh, okay, thank you, solver. I don't have any PLO solvers at them. I mean, I have Monker solver, but I don't even know how to put in a range properly yet to that. That's gonna be next month. I think that's kind of a little down the road. For now, I'm really trying to focus on just like let's get pre-flop, right? Pre-flop here was pretty straightforward, not a lot of questions. So if anybody has any suggestions about bet sizing with ace ace and a nut flush draw on queen 6-4 with spades, sound off. Otherwise, I will, or regardless, I potted, they folded, and we moved on. Buffybot says, you need to do Johnny Carson's voice when you say, you are correct, sir. No, that's not Johnny Carson. That's Ed McMahon, right? That's Ed McMahon. That's or really, it's more Phil Hartman as Ed McMahon, speaking to Dana Carvey as Johnny Carson. So we folded here. I used to imitate a lot of Saturday Night Live imitations. I still do. I enjoy imitating imitations. It's easier than imitating just like a person because things are always like exaggerated in imitations. I'm currently looking this hand up as I am chatting about imitations. Okay, ace queen 5-3 with a good suit is an RFI, but it's like barely an RFI. And because of that, I think having the extra suited card, particularly being the queen, which means we can't nut over third nut someone, unless a king comes and then they can have, yeah, okay. But you get me, Ace, queen, like technically that was not correct. Single suit, good suit is RFI from MP, but is MP. I wrote MP. I want hijack. I like to be consistent with my own nomenclature. This is raise first in from the hijack, but is bottom of range with the extra Q of hearts. I like the fold. So one fact and one suggestion. Okay. So I fold, and that was on the tighter side, but I think having that, to speak to the broader PLO audience of the less experienced players, I think, it's easy to maybe say, oh, there's three of a suit. No, never play. No, there's, if this were like ace, queen, jack, 8, like, I don't care that I have three of a suit. It's bad. It's a negative of the hand, but like, I'm playing ace, queen, jack, deuce. So I'm definitely going to play ace, queen, jack, 8 with three of a suit, right? Even 4 of a suit. I think that's a hand I'm going to play. But here, this is at the bottom of the range. I'm not playing ace, queen, 6-3. I'm not playing ace, queen, 5-2. I'm not playing ace, queen, 4-3, right? It's like this one little thing. If you look at the chart, it's like ace, queen, 5-4, ace, queen, 5-3, and then like everything else around it is a fold. So we already know that this perfectly suited would be barely a raise. So not just having the third of the suit, but that third be the queen, which blocks, it blocks our own outs, right? But it also blocks somebody else, not just from having a smaller flush, but having a good smaller flush. The 3 is less concerning. Ace 5-3 I'd rather raise than ace queen 3, right? Okay, enough of that hand wherein I just folded pre-flop. Last hand of the day, we're going to review this hand, then we're going to go over to a raid. Okay, king, queen, jack, 9. This is going to be a very comfortable defense, in my opinion, against a raise and 2 calls. I know nothing about my opponents yet, except that they are playing PLO100 on Ignition. So some of them are probably loose and generous, I guess is a nice way of putting it. Big blind squeeze versus low jack or cutoff. Those are my options, basically. We'll look versus a low jack. We're going to go king, queen, single suited, and it's going to say to call this hand. All right. Oh, no, it actually wants to fold this because it's only queen high suit. So, king, queen, jack, 9, single suited, good suit. Good suit is co-call versus low jack. Low jack, RFI, squeeze spot. Bad suit is fold, but king, queen, Jack 10 and King Queen 10-9 are calls. So I'm fine with the call. I'm not concerned at all about this. I think it makes all the sense. I flop top pair with a blocker to the second nut flush draw and a bunch of overs to second pair. I think this is something that we can overlook a lot. Like when we have top pair or when we have any pair, I think thinking about what our other cards, if we hit them, how's our hand going to be, right? So what are my outs to the nuts right now are nothing, right? I can't make the nuts. A king would be quite good because I'd have trip kings with a queen. And if I hit a queen, a jack, or a 9, unless it's a spade, I would have top 2 pair. And nobody would have a straight yet, right? So we know that. So because this board's so dry, there's no straight draws. So nothing that I hit could. But if like I had a 7 instead of the 9, then I could have kings and 7s, and that's not top 2 pair, and that's not as good. So I like this hand on this flop, not quite enough to bet out. I check, 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 and now on the turn, now I have a wrap. It's the under wrap, not like the super under wrap, but it's, you know, only the ace. So what are my outs to the nuts now, right? This is I want to make this just like automatic, where a card comes out, a flop comes out, whatever. I just know how many nuts, nut outs I have, right? So I have a 7, I have an ace, and I have a 9, right? Those are my nut outs. So that would be 11 minus 3, so 8, because 3 of them are going to be spades, right? So I have 8 nut outs is what I'm thinking. 3 aces, 2 9s, and 3 7s, right? So those are my nut outs. A queen and a jack will also make me a straight, but it'll be the second nuts because somebody could have an ace high straight on those cards. I'll have a king high straight, and a king would make me trips, which is like nice. So I have some additional outs as well. So 8 nut outs plus some second nut outs. I like it. I go ahead and bet. I don't know. Is this good? I don't know. I felt like nobody had much on the flop, so people aren't going to have too much on this turn. They can turn straight draws with me, but I think if they do, then my top pair's often good. So this is a pretty bad card. I do make a straight. I can't really see any way I can get value here. I have the king of flush blocker, but I don't think I really want to turn this hand into a bluff. I think it's way too high up in my range to bluff. They bet half pot, which feels like they're trying to get value with something. If they were bluffing with like the ace of spades, I feel like they would just like mash the... Oh, no, this is all in. It's all in. It happens to be half pot. I feel like it would be very strange for them to have some sort of ace of... Like, what would they be bluffing with here? So I think this is a very comfortable fold. But overall, I like my play. On the river, I guess I can think about jamming against a player that I have a particular read that I think they'll call like way too much with like 2 pair here because they can't raise me. But I don't think that's good. I think that's definitely bad in this spot. And I want to be aware of their stack size, but not actually do anything about it. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, that was quite a poor card for me. It was a spade. It didn't even give me the nut straight, right? Not even the best possible straight. If it was like an ace of spades, it's a little different because now I know they're not betting the nut flush, and at least I have the best straight. If they're betting, they can't have a better straight. Okay, I think that is enough of all that. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for everybody who's stuck through the stream, and anybody on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you can like and subscribe. There's some buttons in the places, and it's greatly appreciated. It really helps the channel grow. It's been growing lately, which is really fun. I put like a little bit of effort into it, but it's been consistent effort, right? Just a video every day. And I'll try and do more of the things to make things look nicer. And if there's some bits in this video that are like, why is that still in the video? That's what it is. This is my stream on Twitch. So if you're on YouTube, maybe come over to Twitch and give a follow or a subscription. If you have Prime, you can subscribe for free. You just click the thing and you can subscribe to one Twitch channel for free. Anyway, thanks so much, and have a great whatever time it is now for you.